Living world. How wonder is the living world. The wide range of living type is amazing. The extraordinary habits in which we find living organism. Be it cool mountains, deciduous forests, oceans, freshwater lakes, deserts, or hot springs leave us speechless. The beauty of galloping horses, of the migrating birds, the valley of flower, or attacking sharks evoke awe and a deep sense of wonder. The ecological conflict and cooperation among members of population and among population of a community or even the molecular traffic inside a cell make us deeply reflect on what indeed is life. This question has two implicit questions within it. The first is technical one and seeks answer to what living is as opposed to the non-living. And the second is philosophical one and seeks answer to what the purpose of life is. As scientists, we should not attempt answering the second question. We will try to attempt only what is living. In this para, nothing is important. What is living? When we try to define living, we conveniently look for distinctive characteristics exhibited by living organism. Growth, reproduction, ability to sense environment and maintain a suitable response come to our mind immediately as unique feature of living organism. One can add a few more features like metabolism, ability to self-replicate, self-organized, interact, and emergency to list this. Let us try to understand each of these. All living organisms grow, increase in mass and increase in number of individual are twin characteristic of a growth. Important one, all living organisms grow, increase in mass and increase in number of individual are twin characteristic of growth. A multicellular organism grows by cell division in plants. These growth by cell division occur continuously throughout their lifespan. In animals, this growth is seen only up to certain age. However, cell division occur in certain tissue to replace lost cells. Unicellular organisms grow by cell division. One can easily observe this in vitro culture by simple continuing the number of cells under microscope. In majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. One must remember that increase in body mass is considered as a growth. Non-living objects also grow if we take increase in body mass as a criterion for growth. Mountains, boulders, and sand muds do grow. However, this kind of growth exhibited by non-living object is by accumulation of material on the surface. In living organisms, growth is from inside. Growth, therefore, cannot be taken as a defining property of living organism. Condition under which it can be observed in all living organisms have to be explained, and then we understand that it is a characteristic of living system. A dead organism does not grow. In this para, important points. In majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. Growth cannot be taken as defining property of living organism. Reproduction, like which it is a characteristic of living organism, In multicellular organism, reproduction refers to the production of progeny processing feature more or less similar to these of parents. Invariably and implicitly, we refer to sexual reproduction. Organisms reproduce by asexual means also. Fungi multiply and spread easily due to millions of asexual spores they produced. In lower organisms like yeast and hydra, we observe budding. In planaria, flatworm, we observe true regeneration. It means a fragmented organism regenerate the lost part of its body and become a new organism. The fungi, the filamentous algae, protonema of mosses all easily multiply by fragmentation. When it comes to unicellular organisms like bacteria, unicellular algae, or amoeba, reproduction is synonymous with growth. It means increase in number of the cell. We have already defined growth as equivalent to increase in cell number or mass. Hence, we notice that in single celled organism we are not very clear about the usage of these two terms, growth and reproduction. Further, there are many organisms which do not reproduce. Mule, sterile worker bees, infertile human couples, etc. Hence, reproduction also cannot be an inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. Of course, of course, no non-living object is capable of reproduction or replicating it itself. In this para, important points. Fungi multiply and spread easily due to millions of asexual spore they produce. Yeast and hydra budding. In planaria, flatworm observe true regeneration. Fungi, filamentous algae, the protonema of mosses all easily multiply by fragmentation. Unicellular organisms like bacteria, unicellular algae, or amoeba reproduce in synonymous with growth. Many organisms which do not reproduce, like mule, sterile worker bees, infertile human couples. Reproduction also cannot be an all inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. No non living object is capable of reproducing or replicating by itself. Another characteristic of life is metabolism. All living organisms are made up of chemicals. These chemicals, small and big, belonging to various classes, size, function, and are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecules. This conservation of chemicals reaction or metabolic reaction, there are thousands of metabolic reactions occurring simultaneously inside all living organisms, be unicellular or multicellular. All plants, animals, fungi, and microbes exhibit metabolism, the sum total of all chemical reactions occurring in our body is metabolism. No non-living object exhibit metabolism. Metabolic reaction can be demonstrated outside the body in cell-free system. An isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of an organism performed in a test tube is neither living nor non-living. Hence, while metabolic reaction is defining feature of all living organisms without exception, isolated metabolic reaction in vitro are not living thing but surely living reactions. Hence, cellular organization of the body is the defining feature of living form. Para contain important points. Plants and animals, fungi, and microbes exhibit metabolism. Sum total of all chemical reactions occurring in our body is metabolism. No non-living organism exhibit metabolism. An isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of an organism performed in a test tube is neither living nor non-living. Metabolism is defining feature of all living organisms without exception. Isolated metabolic reaction in vitro are not living thing but surely living reactions. Cellular organization of the body is the defining feature of life form. Perhaps the most obvious and technically complicated feature of all living organisms is this ability to sense their surrounding or environment and respond to these environmental stimuli, which could be physical, chemical, or biological. We sense our environment through our sense organs. Plants respond to external factors like light, water, temperature, other organisms, pollutants, etc. All organisms from the prokaryote to the most complex eukaryotes can sense and respond to environmental clues. Photoperiod affects the reproduction in seasonal breeders, both plants and animals. All organisms handle chemicals entering their body. All organisms, therefore, are aware of their surrounding. Human being is the only organism who is aware of himself, has self-consciousness. Consciousness becomes the defining property of living organism. Para contain important points. Most obvious and technically complicated feature of all living organisms is these abilities to sense their surrounding or environment and respond to their environmental stimuli like physical, chemical or biological. Plants respond to external factors like light, water, temperature, other organisms, pollutants, etc. All organisms from prokaryote to most complex eukaryote can sense and respond. Photoperiod affect reproduction in seasonal breeders, both plants and animals. Human being is the only organism who is aware of himself. It means has self-consciousness. Consciousness becomes the defining property of living organism. When it comes to human being, it is all more difficult to define the living state. We observe patients lie in coma in hospital virtually supported by machines which replace heart and lungs. The patient is otherwise brain dead. The patient has no self consciousness. Are, are sure patients who never come back to normal life, living or non living. Para contain important points. Patient lie in coma is living. In higher classes, you will come to know that all living phenomena are due to underlying interactions, properties of tissue are not present in the constituent cell but arise as a result of interaction among the constituent cells. Similarly, properties of cellular organelles are not present in the molecular constituent of the organelle but arise as a result of interactions among the molecular components comprising the organelle. These interactions result in emergent properties at a higher level of organization. This phenomena is true in the hierarchy of organizational complexity of all levels. Therefore, we can say that all living organisms are self replicating, evolving, and self regulating interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. Biology is the story of life on Earth. Biology is the story of evolution of living organism on earth. All living organisms present and past and future are linked to one another by the sharing of common genetic material but to vary in degree. Para contain important points. Living organisms are self replicating, evolving, and self regulating interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. Biology is the story of evolution of living organism on earth. All living organisms, past, present, and future, are linked to one another by the sharing of common genetic material but to vary degree.